I've taken a different setup with the stream. Just slightly, so I stopped screwing over my back. Because, like, I don't want to hurt my back. I'm not sitting on a chair, but, yeah. Let's continue. On Rokinjima this day, or rather this round, was the same as any other. The typhoon would be coming very soon. The sky was still overcast. The clouds were moving quickly. The only thing on Natsuhi's mind was the plan to cover up Kinzo's absence again this year. Kraus appeared to have suffered a stomachache from the stress and was sleeping in his room. Oh, look, it's proof that he was on the island. That's why he killed them all. Captain Kawabata. Just kidding. Jessica and Kumasawa had left in the boat to go shopping and greet the incoming relatives on Nijima. The servants had been busy since the early morning preparing for the family conference, the greatest event of the year. I hate your guts! Where's the fucking money? I hate your guts. Where's the fucking money? I'm sorry. Shadow and Kano were rushing to get the guest house ready. If the relatives are gonna stay the night, shouldn't the guest rooms in the mansion be more than enough? Good point. It's a pain to clean this up too, after all. Even so, I like cleaning the guest house. Yeah, it's nice and quiet without Madame and all the annoying servants. Shannon smiled wryly as she performed a detailed examination of the guest room. Did we forget to clean anything? Do we need to restock anything? She diligently gave the room one final check over. You checked everything thoroughly last night too, didn't you? You really are dedicated. It's days like this that you tend to get pranked even if you're careless. You can never find important things when you need them. And things that were supposed to be closed turn out to be open. That's because you're too careless. You don't pay attention while you work. I guess that's why you're helping me check. Thanks. There's nothing to thank me for. If you were a bit more alert, I wouldn't have to help at all. But you actually just wanted to be with me, right? You're such a kid. That's not it at all. It's all because you're so ecstatic about George lately. You're messing up so much, I can't let you out of my sight. Canon, let's chat a bit. We can't do that now. We're working. You keep making fun of me and George, but how's it going between you and Jessica? Nothing's going on in particular. If you have time to talk about that, let's just finish this. Well, Ken had very obviously been trying to change the subject. Shan then snuck up behind him and pushed him down onto the bed. So, why did you turn down Milady when she asked you to go with her to welcome the relatives? Because I have work to do. Liar. You don't actually have any work at all. Shannon and Kano had switched roles. Normally Kano was in the control, but when it came to romance, it was opposite. As Shannon had said, Jessica and Kano were supposed to have been the ones to greet the relatives of the harbor on Nijima. However, Kano had suddenly claimed he had work to do, so Kumasawa had gone instead. Kano didn't have any work to do. Shannon knew this. Milady told me. Despite what happened after the cultural festival, she really does like you, Kano. Even though I'm furniture? That's right. And I'm furniture too. But despite that, you're in love with a human. Even though you can't do that. You think so? Maybe we're furniture. Just because we take that for granted. I don't have any special feelings for Milady Jessica. I only think of her as the daughter of the family we serve. Really? Really. What? You know, there is a chance that George will propose to me tonight. Shannon wore an incredibly peaceful smile on her face, but Cannon could tell that there was no way she let him change the subject. Cannon realized she must have made him help out here in the guest house in order to talk to him about this, and he clicked his tongue softly. You really think you can marry a human even though you're furniture? I think I can. It won't work. Why not? That dream future that George has imagined for you two is something you can never give him. Well... We aren't humans. We're furniture, inferior to them. George only thinks that you're human. Well, that is true, but... I'm impressed that you managed to keep him fooled this long. Do you really think you can keep tricking him like that forever? Even though you still haven't been able to tell him that you're furniture. Being furniture or being human has nothing to do with this. I believe that George will accept everything about me. And yet you don't have the courage to check and make sure. You know what? I think I'll accept his proposal. As Shannon looked up at the ceiling, she spoke of the imagined future she and George would create, though some anxiety over the future appeared on her face. So did the joy of knowing what it was like to live with love. As Cannon watched this vivid dream he was being shown, he knew none of his words would reach Shannon anymore. You can just do what you want. Once you've said you'll do something, you can be incredibly stubborn. Yep. I want to live my life my own way. I'd like to stop being afraid over who's furniture and who's a human. Cannon walked over to the window silently. He saw the rose garden filled with boring gray flowers in bloom. He realized Shannon was acting above her place. He knew her tale had no chance of a happy ending. However, he also knew none of his words could change her mind now that she had made her decision. In that case, it doesn't matter what I say. If I tell you to stop, you won't listen. If I tell you to do what you want, you'll do what you want. Why are you talking to me about this? It's not like you care about what I have to say. What I want to know is how you feel about Milady. I have nothing to do with the two of you. Do you really feel absolutely nothing for Milady? No, I don't, as I keep telling you. Liar. What makes you think that's a lie? I can tell. I'm your Nason, aren't I? You don't know. You can't know what I'm feeling. I do. I know everything about you, Cannon. If you really do know, then why'd you ask? Your head and your heart are completely filled by George, aren't they? And it's that sincerity of yours that I love. That's why I'm rooting for you in the only way I can. Otherwise, even I wanted to love Milady. Cannon finally turned to face her honestly and openly telling her how he felt. That was what Shannon wanted to hear. After hearing that, she pressed Cannon even further to reveal his true feelings. You can't leave it at that. I won't let you. Then what should I do? What do you want me to say? Don't try to dodge by saying I wanted to love her. All you need to do is honestly tell me what you feel. Milady is too dazzling for me. The way she lives is dazzling, like the sun. That's why I love her. I was so happy when Milady stretched out her hand and asked me to walk with her. No, I still am happy. You love her, don't you? Yes, I do! I love Milady! Finally, Cannon confessed his feelings in their entirety. In fact, by saying it aloud, he finally understood how he felt, as passionate tears welled up in his eyes. Canon finally accepted it. He couldn't stop the tears from dripping down his face. Both of us are exactly the same. Oh wait, sorry. This is Canon. Both of us is exactly the same, locked up on Rokanjima, living without any hope at all. And yet, Milady was able to light up her own path and create her own fate. She was so dazzling that I envied her. I felt as though if I could be with her, I could find my true self instead of being the pitiful person I am now. When you turned down Milady's confession, were you sad? I was! I never realized that a lie that you make to yourself could be so sad, so painful, so excruciating. And I couldn't forgive myself for hurting Milady with that lie. I believed that I didn't have what it takes to ever fall in love again. But that wasn't true. Do you know what's needed to fall in love? It's something you can't get from anyone but yourself. Being furniture or not has nothing to do with it. If you decide for yourself that it won't work out, then it won't. You mustn't leap to such rigid conclusions. That's why I, overambitious furniture that I am, gave myself what's needed to fall in love. So you have it too, Canon. You mean, I have what it takes to fall in love? Yes. If you won't give it to yourself, I'll give it to you. Thank you. I feel as though I can finally see the sea. I'm certain of it. George will propose to me tonight. When he does, I will accept. I intend to leave this island and start a new life in our new world. If that's the path you've chosen, then I have no say in the matter. I'll leave this island, and after that, I'll never return again. I'll have to say farewell to you, Canon. You're right. We won't see each other again, will we? If you do love Milady from the bottom of your heart, and if your feelings are at least as strong as my feelings for George, then you and I will have to settle those feelings, whose feelings are really stronger. If you do love Milady from the bottom of your heart, if your feelings are at least as strong as my feelings for George, then you and I will have to settle those feelings are really stronger. Nei-san. This way is the best for both of us. Don't give up on your feelings for my sake. Even though my selfishness might keep you from getting your happiness, I realize that same thing about myself. I know that my happiness... I realize that same thing about myself. I know that my happiness will bring you pain. We have no choice but to hurt each other. As she said this, Shannon turned her back to Canon. As Canon watched Shannon from behind, he was struck by her strength, and the love she still... Fuck off! Okay. We have no choice but to hurt each other. As she said this, Shannon turned her back to Canon. As Canon watched Shannon from behind, he was struck by her strength, and the love she still felt for him despite everything. Nei-san, living with you made me happy. Me too. I wouldn't have lasted this long without you. And that's why I was able to meet George. Yeah. And I wouldn't have realized how dazzling Milady is if it weren't for you. I won't abandon the way I feel. I'll focus on that feeling alone, ignoring everything else, and I won't look away when I trample over your heart. Me too. I won't use you as an excuse to hide the way I feel. Whether my love bears fruit, or yours does, we'll both support the victor. Yes, I promise. And if I win, I will love Milady and treasure you. Thank you. But if I win, I'll forget you and this island and leave this place forever. Yes. Whichever of us wins, that person will pursue their love with all they've got, even if they know that love will be unrequited. Yes. After all, by now, we are not furniture. Ugh, fuck you, Adobe Cloud. Fucking interrupting twice? Fuck off one time! And never fuck in again! Fuck off! Sorry, I always get constantly interrupted, and when that happens, I get really mad. Umineko is a sacred time. Molest me not. I don't know all the Kinzo quotes. Take them and burn them into the wood fire. Boil their bones in wormwood and other The boat carrying the relatives docked at the harbor. They left the boat one by one, making fun of Balor. Fuck off! 3 fucking times already, bitch! Koro wasn't the only one to greet them. Cal was there too. It has been quite some time, everyone. Allow me to welcome you to Rokkenjima. I hope that your long journey went smoothly. Welcome to Rokkenjima. Ah, good, good. Koro complimented Canon in a whisper. Canon ignored this, looking just a little sour, and continued to greet the incoming relatives. I'm doing customer service today. This is your first time meeting Goda and Kano, isn't it, Balor?
Ah! It's my first time meeting Balor, too!
Goda's a great chef. He's the only reason anyone ever want to come to this island. I am most honored. Battler, I do hope that you look forward to your meals during your stay. I can't wait! I'm counting on you! Long time no see, Kano. You seem to be in high spirits today. That's great. You think so? Oh yes, your face is looking brighter today. Maybe it's your complexion, or maybe it's that your gaze looks a little more gallant. Ah, must be a growing phase. That's how a boy becomes a man. You usually look as though you're about to pass out from anemia. You're a bit different today. You got some spunk! A boy can change a lot in just 3 days. Guess this means even Kano's getting a bit more manly. We aren't making fun of you, okay? We're all complimenting you. Kano had sworn to start changing the way he lived bit by bit. However, he had only meant to change with himself and hadn't expected that it would show on the outside. He was a bit shocked to hear his expression had changed so much. That people had apparently noticed as soon as he opened his mouth. No. Maybe the real surprise was that his normal expression must have looked so incredibly sullen in comparison. Goda led the way up to the guest house. Kano brought up the rear, helping to carry some of Kumasawa's shopping. Does my face really look that bright today?
It looks that way to me as well. Did something good happen?
Even Kumasawa was saying it. Count, unable to see what his own face looked like, hung his head in embarrassment. When they reached the rose garden, they could see the others streaming into the guest house. Then he saw Jessica running towards him from there. Is even Milady going to say that I'm in a good mood today? Kano hung his head even deeper, and so almost as though he couldn't control himself, Kano spoke first. Do I really look that different? Huh? Well, you know, you aren't usually the type to come out and say hello of your own accord. And that's probably why everyone was surprised. I apologize for not going with you earlier, milady. Huh? Oh, don't worry about that. I'm the one who was sorry for asking you to come all the way out to Nijima with me to meet everyone. I know how busy you must be today. I didn't have anything in particular to do. You were just so dazzling. So dazzling that I couldn't bear to be with you. I was just weak. Jessica faltered, uncertain what Kano was talking about. However, she realized this was something too important to be left off. Did something happen, Kano? Shannon says she's going to get married. I see. So George is going to propose this time after all. Jessica thought Kano was sad because Shannon would be leaving, that this new mental state had caused the change in his behavior. Kano realized that Jessica was probably thinking this, So he spoke to her clearly and honestly, because he wanted her to know. I decided that I would stop working here if Nason ever quit. I know. So, are you gonna quit too, Kano? I'm not sure anymore. I feel that if I quit, I might lose sight again of something you revealed to me, shining like the sun. Jessica could only stare blankly, being unable to understand what he was saying. However, she did realize he was trying to tell her something important. And so, she was able to accept that his next words were neither a lie nor a joke. Milady Jessica, I love you.
I love you too!
You live your life like the sun, and I want to try walking that path alongside you. I have a feeling that, with you, I'll be able to break free from the me that I despise as furniture.
You aren't furniture, Canon, and you weren't born just so you could become a servant. A boy your age should be enjoying life much, much more. I'm dazzled too. You're so dazzling I can hardly see.
This is how I truly feel. I'm sorry for trying to hide it for so long. I apologize for hurting you in that day, in my cowardice.
That's okay. Just hearing you say that makes me happy.
So, since I always want to be with you, I plan to stop being furniture. I ask that you give me some time to do that. Please forgive this last bit of weakness.
There's nothing weak about you. You've shown me. You showed me that you have incredible courage to change yourself in the way you used to be. So, I'll support you until the end, and I won't rush you until you're ready. If I'm the sun lighting your path, that's because I wanted to shine more brightly than anyone else, so that you'd only look at me. Without you, there's no way I'd become anything like a sun. So I'll wait, no matter how long it takes.
Thank you, milady.
Milady is a bit stiff, don't you think?
May I call you by your name?
Sure. Oh, but only when we're alone, okay? Otherwise, it might make things tough for you.
Good point. Nason and George are doing the same thing, it seems.
If Shadow hadn't been about to get engaged, you wouldn't have said what you said just now, right?
Cal hung his head at a loss for words for some time, but it was true. If Shadow hadn't told him about the engagement, he probably wouldn't be having this conversation at this moment. Yes, because of that, I was able to think long and hard.
Oh, come on! You heard about Shannon and you wanted to see what love felt yourself, right?
Yes.
That's a pretty straight answer. Well, when I watched those two, I was pretty jealous myself.
In truth, it wasn't quite like that for either of them. They'd been shown the courage needed to speak up and to tell the one you love how you feel. That is what pushed both Kana and Jessica forward. So, what should I call you?
Jessica works fine.
Just saying it like that would be a bit embarrassing.
When then you can use Son at least first. Why not try it out? Come on.
Jessica-san.
Good. That'll do for now. And I'd like to call you by your name, Canon. You have a real name besides Canon, don't you? I bet it has the character Own in it like Canon does. What could it be?
Or I don't think that. I think it's this one. I'm probably reading it wrong. My bad. My name is Yoshia.
Oh! Is that how it's written?
Jessica tried tracing out various characters on the palm of her hand. Then Cal used his own finger to write out his name on her hand. You read it as this.
So, you're Yoshia. Yeah, that's a great name. Totally better than my weird name.
That's not true. My Lady Jessica has a wonderful name.
Hey! Say it again! Huh? Milady Jessica has... One more time! Milady Jessica has a wonderful... Is something wrong? No big deal. Thanks, Yoshia. The red flowers of the rose garden seemed to celebrate the two lovers whose feelings had finally connected. The scene was watched by not one human who gazed out quietly from beneath the rose garden arbor. Come to think of it, those two had never called each other by their names until now. Jessica hadn't known Kanon's true name. Kanon hadn't called Jessica by her name. When people call each other by name, they acknowledge the worth of each other's soul. That's why names are sacred. When you've been given permission to say someone's name, it means they've acknowledged your soul. Is that why Father wants me to call him by his name? No, that's probably wrong. When Father sees me, it reminds him of that other me, that past me. And I'm sure that me called Father by name. However, that probably doesn't mean Father would be happy to hear me call him by his name. After all, I am me, and not the Beatrice Father knows well. What can I do to help Father? How can I be useful to him? After all, that's the only reason I was born. Hanging her head, Beatrice sat all alone in the Golden Lands arbor next to the rose garden. She was being watched by the Witch of Theater going and her Miko as they sat across from each other. Poor kid. I never thought I'd see you feel compassion for Beato. It'd be too cruel to call this Beato and the former Beato the same person. They're completely different people. It may be that, by the rules, this Beato is the Beato. However, saying that would be horribly unfair to her. Balor must be very depressed to have things end up this way after reviving his former rival. I sort of get Oni-chan's despair, but I can understand how this kid feels too. No person can become a replacement for another, not even a past version of that same person. Compared to the young boy and girl who had found new versions of themselves by calling each other their true names, this witch looked very feeble. The witch knew that she was an illusion created in the image of the person she once was. She also knew that it would only hurt Balor if she were to try and pretend to be that person. And despite all that, this Beato wants to be useful to Balor. How admirable. Is that the purpose for the witch known as Beatrice? And that is what she claims. She says she was created to be of service to Balor. So a Beato who was born for Oni-chan's sake eventually commits a serial murder and drags Oni-chan into a bizarre game that she calls eternal torture. I don't get it. I believe you also understand that one can become a different person over 1,000 years. At the very least, Beatrice was once a pure creature who was born for Balor's sake. It's also very clear in her current feeble state. She doesn't possess any courage or motivation needed to bring about such fearsome serial murders. That means the sinister witch we all know must have changed during the 1,000 years since her birth. We keep getting this 1,000 years business. I get the feeling that those words are just a metaphor for a really long time in the world of witches. As you get closer to the world of the gods, the concept of time becomes increasingly vague. 6 years can become 1,000, and 1,000 years can be nothing more than a quick nap. One can fit an eternity long enough to be deserving of the title 100-year-old witch in a mere 2 weeks. Higurashi reference! I know that feeling. I feel very old all the time, especially in middle school because I was depressed and had the mental illness very bad. And because I was tired of everything. So, don't make fun of that. Because it's just like, I'm serious. I'm not telling a joke. Anyway. In other words, the pure Beato transformed into the cruel Beato. During the 6 years, that could be called 1,000. Does that mean that something bad happened during those 6 years that made her hate Oni-chan? That doesn't make sense. During those 6 years, Oni-chan not only stayed away from Rokenjima, he even stopped using the Ushiromiya name. He had nothing to do with that change. Her hatred has got to be totally misguided.
Oh, so this is where you were. Shall I make you some black tea?
Kumasawa, there's something I'd like to know.
Oh, very well. What is it?
My name is Beatrice, isn't it?
Yes, that is correct. You are Beatrice, milady.
However, the Beatrice that Father talks about isn't me.
Well,
I think Father wanted me to be that person. I think that might be why he was disappointed, because no matter how much I look like her, I am a different person.
That isn't true. You are you, Beatrice herself. You've merely lost your memory of the past after being newly reborn. Even without your memory, you are still Beatrice. You are the same person whom the Master loves.
So then, how can I regain those memories?
Well...
Beato looked at Kumasawa with hopeful eyes, as though praying that she would tell her the way. Kumasawa averted her gaze unhelpfully, as though trying to say that she'd like to if only such a way existed. If I can't regain those memories, can't you at least tell me what kind of person that Beatrice Father loved was?
That much I can tell you, but...
I was born for Father's sake, so I want to become the Golden Witch Beatrice that Father desires.
Beatrice?
I cannot use magic. However, if the witch Father desires could use it, then I will learn. I want to become the witch he desires. That's the only way I can repay Father for creating me.
That's admirable. Without the 1,000 years gone wrong, she really is an incredible kid.
A chick of a witch. Very interesting. I've taken a liking to her, Angie. I shall allow this chick to make use of my library. Let us open the door that leads back to the world of witches.
So you're gonna make her read aloud the stories about her previous self? Yes, I want to know too. The creation story of the Golden Witch Beatrice. Very well, if you wish it. Then let us open the door once more.
Kumasawa!
A golden splash walled up around them. It was a cloud of gold butterflies. With a splash of gold, the form of the old lady transformed into the witch of that dress.
You must choose the path that you are to walk down. Let us call it a path of roses. The beautifully blowing roses may encourage you, and their thorns may torment you. But even so, it is a path that you've walked down before. You may pass through the same 1,000 years. You may pass through a different 1,000 years. If you wish, you may even return back the way you came. I'll move on forward. I don't want to spend 1,000 years in this garden drinking tea. Beatrice was born for Father's sake, so I want to live for Father's sake. Please tell me about the Golden Witch.
The Great Witch spread her arms, communicating the other's unbending determination to the brilliant heavens. At that moment, a brilliant light covered the two of them, and before they knew it,
They were in a strange study. There sat the master of the library, the great old witch, and her Miko. Virgilia gave a deep and elegant bow. It is the greatest of honors to be in your presence, Lady Featherina Augustus Aura, the majestic witch of theater-going, drama, and spectating. Raise your head, child of man. I shall give that child the privilege of using my library however she likes for a time. Angie, my Miko, you'll see to her needs. Sure, as you wish, my master. You know, you could just say, let me read your story. Miko of the Witch of Theater-going, I leave Beatrice in your care. Pleased to meet you. The Beatrice you're trying to become was suffering from something in her own way. At the very least, you've been released from that for the time being. Will you really go on a journey to regain those shackles? Yes. I want to become the Golden Witch. That is the reason I was born. I, the endless and finite witch, pupilless Virgilia Morrow, ask that you make her journey through purgatory a pleasant one, granting her your protection. Huh? Oh, let it be known that as the Miko of the Witch of Theater-going, and as the Endless Witch and Apprentice Witch of Resurrection, I, Angie Beatrice, do humbly accede to your request or whatever. Featherine snorted. So, you also bear the name of Beatrice? That's right. I know a lot about you. Please teach me. What kind of person was I? Sure, and I'll want you to teach me. Why did you become the person you were? In this library, the fragments showing the tales of all your games up until now are stored as books. By reading them, you should be able to learn everything that has happened before now. By reading them, can I become a Golden Witch? To become a Golden Witch, one must solve the epitaph of the gold, and this trial cannot be skipped, not even by Beatrice herself. I'll do my best, so please let me read the books in this library. As admirable as ever. Why are you so set on ending up like that again? I do not know what I was like then. However, if that me can be of use to Father, I want to become it. Angie sighed resignedly. No words would stop this girl's feelings of respect. Angie was the Miko of the Witch of Theater-going. She could do nothing but watch over the stage. That's right. They weren't actually interfering with the play. This is just a bit of directing to shine the spotlight onto the tale of Beto's past. Even this was nothing more than the Witch of Theater-going's watching a play. If you read, you will learn what kind of a person the old Beatrice was. However, you must decide what you will take from that experience. You are free to stay in this library or leave it, or even return to it again later. In exchange, I will watch your play. You watch my play? Basically, it means you can do whatever you want. Thank you very much. Oh, God. She likes it when you call her Featherine. Thank you very much, Featherine. After being welcomed in by Featherine, Beta left on her journey to discover herself. A tale connected the old tale with a new one. It wove them together. The 1,000-year-old tale about her being returned to its starting point, becoming a snake eating its own tail. The ring of the snake began slowly.
bit by bit, to return to the shape of a small island floating on the sea. And that was Rokenjima. The 1,000 years of the witch born on the island were tied to the island. Was it 1,000 years or just 6? Or did this tale start even further back into the past? Beatrice went out on a journey to find herself. The wind had been strengthening since a while back. The breaking waves have grown fierce. The ferry boats probably wouldn't be coming for a while now. The crashing thunder told the island had been sealed off from the outside world. A thick rain poured down, mocking the fools outdoors who had to rush pathetically to find shelter. No longer would anyone be able to leave this island, and no longer would anyone be able to reach this island. No one unless blessed with a miracle. There was another flash of lightning. The retinas of all who saw were filled with white. As the white faded away, an eerie shadow pulled itself amidst the raging waters of the beach. As though suddenly remembering to do so, it coughed violently several times, filthily spitting out the sea water that filled its stomach. She then tore apart the touch fastener of her life jacket, and threw down the reason she had been able to float here without so much as a thank you. Welcomed in by a storm, same as always. Very good. Yes. Come and entertain... No! Yes! Come and entertain me, battler! I ruined it! No! My bad. I'm sorry, I'm a dumbass. I'm stupid. News of the bitch. I'm sorry. Any tips? So now we know that 1,000 years is metaphorical, obviously. News of the drifter fruit of Erica quickly spread across Rokenjima. Erica had been welcomed in politely. It was decided that she would be treated as a guest until the typhoon passed. In the dining hall, Goto's wonderful dinner had ended and everyone was relaxing and enjoying some after-dinner coffee and cheese. Apparently, Battler was a bit relieved that Erica had come and turned into a good scapegoat. It drove away some of the attention he'd been getting piled on him for finally coming back after 6 years. In fact, she turned out to be very talkative. When the conversation turned out to be a sophisticated discussion of the mystery genre, even the adults were drawn in. She was apparently so well versed that even Nanjo, who had a vast knowledge of the subject, was impressed. Good point! So, a strange family in a western mansion on an isolated island during a storm. Now that we have a detective stopping by to take a shelter from the name, we got all the major factors lined up. Have no fear. No matter how difficult the crime, I will solve it. That's a detective's job. How reassuring. It almost sounds as though you want a bizarre crime to occur. I hope I don't have to play the part of the victim. Dear, you mustn't say such things. Well, the history of the human mystery genre is only about a century old. Its tricks and ideas are limited to a few recycled patterns, so there's nothing left to show. No matter what kind of impossible crimes or closed-room murders might occur, it'll be nothing more than one of those same classic tricks of dressed up to look like something new.
only reason mysteries still make for popular books today is because of self-proclaimed fans. Those who work off pieced-together knowledge, who have hardly read any of the classics. Mistakenly think that a classic trick they didn't know about, through lack of proper study, is actually something new and surprising. Everyone couldn't help but gape at this imposing claim. If an age critic had said it, it would have been one thing, but to think that a young person like this would say it so boldly. Mystery is a genre that ended a half-century ago, at least as far as I'm concerned. However, thanks to countless ignorant fools, I get to play my part as detective. By that argument, wouldn't it mean that romance was perfected back in Shakespeare's time, so everything after that isn't worth reading? Exactly. So if you just read Romeo and Juliet, it's the same as having understood all of romance. That's ridiculous. It's not like there's anything need to read more books than everyone else just for its own sake. But on the other hand, you can't be so satisfied with just a few stories like that. Sticking to the classics of the past and never reading anything new is a sign of excessive nostalgia, don't you think? That sounds to me like the excuse of an old person who can't be bothered to read more. Hey, that's how I feel about Hong Kong drama. Okay? I don't want to watch the newer ones. I haven't even seen the C-dramas, like the ones that people talk about, like the Heaven Seal or something like that. I just like the old Yin Zhong ones. Sorry. And I miss the old... If they stop using, like, all that CGI stuff, I might pay more attention. And if all the faces start to look more varied again, sure. Because, I don't know. I liked how the actors didn't have to be all pale or whatever. Like, you could tell they had, like, a tan and stuff. And, like, the actors just stood out more. They just... Like, I can remember them. They have memorable faces to me. I don't know if it's just me being when I was back then being a kid or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, some people say it's like, oh, well, it's because people do more plastic surgery stuff, or like, I don't know. I just feel like a pretty face is more beautiful if it stands out from the crowd rather than things just being selectively, like, whatever, or changed or whatever. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe Valor's right. Maybe I simply am too old at the age of 28. I see. I guess I'll need to read at least as much as you, or else I'd probably lose in an argument. Me? I don't read books. Valor chuckled, but Erica knew from the previous game that Valor was actually quite an avid reader, so his words felt more like a challenge. If you're so confident in your reasoning abilities, you must be really good at quizzes and puzzles, right? Oh, right, Martia! Didn't you bring a quiz book or something? Ah! But... Realizing that Erica's arrogant statement had made the atmosphere a little more tense, George smoothly changed the subject. By now, it was more clear that she wasn't the cute guest that she had appeared to be. Maria pulled out a book from her handbag that had puzzles and quizzes written on it and started reading them to everyone. It looked like it might turn into a peaceful quiz party. But of course, that isn't what happened. As a credit to all her big talk, Erica managed an impressive ratio of correct and immediate answers. She took complete control. And her bragging began to escalate more and more. George slightly regretted the choice he had made when changing the subject. I'm here to show off my intellect. Honestly. 106 matches. No need to even write a tournament chart for it. The question of how many matches will you need for a tournament with 107 teams was answered instantly by Erica. This is less of a puzzle than it is a test of knowledge. There's a formula formula which shows the number of matches is always the number of teams minus 1. Well, if you just look at the example showing 3 matches for 4 teams and 7 matches for 8 teams, it'd be easy to figure out the pattern.
Ah! Erica, that's awesome!
Erica, right? Say it. Oh, wait, no. Erica One-chan, right? Say it.
Ah, Erica One-chan, that's awesome!
Really? Impressive. So, you don't call yourself a detective for nothing. I couldn't very well act the part of a detective if I was incapable of handling puzzles of this sort. Incredible. I'm sure you'll be able to become a real detective in the future. Well, I'm pretty sure I already am one. The cousins all thought about the answers to the questions, but Erica always answered first. Rosa thought it was a bit rude for Erica to say the answers out loud while people were still thinking instead of keeping them to herself. But since Erica was a guest, she decided against mentioning it. In truth, Erica was perfectly aware when she answered the questions instantly. Each time she would grin broadly, as though saying, "You all still haven't solved such an easy problem?" A great detective like you really shouldn't need to take these too seriously, right? Good point. Even though these are just childish questions, I was getting a bit too serious. I'll take more care, so let's have the next question, please. Alright, I won't lose this time. Maria, next question.
You have one large piece of cheese. A single slice with a knife can split it into 2 parts. So what is the lowest number of slices you can make and cut it into 8 parts? Ah!
Oh, I know this one. So I guess I'll stay quiet this time. George, acting like the adult he was, set up a mood that would prevent anyone from answering right away, even if they knew the answer, in effect sending a warning to Erica. It seemed that Erica understood and she averted her gaze, snoring derisively. To make 8 pieces, 4 slices would be enough, right? That's dumb. It would be hardly a puzzle if that was the answer. That's right. These are usually set up so that a smaller number that you would expect is the answer. But still, how exactly could it be done? Oh, got it. You can only do this because it's cheese. True. If you try to do it with a birthday cake, there'd be a huge fight. Well, that's right. You might be able to do it with cheese, but you never cut a cake like this. Huh? If you know the answer. Damn it, am I the only one who doesn't? Oh, I got it. Yeah, you gotta think 3-dimensionally. Wait, even Jessica? I don't get it. What should I do?
I know the answer. It's written right here.
You didn't know the answer until you looked right? Get it, Balor? I see, I understand it as well. This is something you can do because it is cheese. Gah! Even Dr. Nanjo gets it? Could it be... Am I the only one who doesn't get it? I'm sure even your brain could be as flexible as cheese if we cooked it a little, Battler. It isn't something like use 0 slices with a knife and break it apart with your hands, right? Of course not! It's impossible to cut cheese with anything other than a knife. Think of the cheese in 3 dimensions. If that's hard, it might help to draw a picture on it with a paper napkin. So we have 1 large piece of cheese, right? Then we use a knife to make 8 pieces. Can the knife only cut in a straight line? Yes, that's right. The knife only cuts in straight lines. Oh, but here's a hint. You can only cut in a straight line, but you're free to cut it wherever you want. Try thinking of a bunch of ways to stick it in. You could probably try to think out of the box outside a bit. Show us what you've got, Battler. You have a large piece of cheese. How many times must you cut it with a knife to make 8 pieces? You could obviously do it in 4 cuts. Could it be done in even fewer cuts than that? Our hints so far point it to being possible specifically because it's cheese. if it was a birthday cake, you wouldn't really be allowed to do this. Cheese. Cheese. Something you can do because it's cheese? Oh! Oh! I got it! I was totally tricked. This isn't something you could think of if your mind's all stiff and rigid. It seems like you finally hit on it. Hopefully it actually is the right answer. It's impossible to cut the cheese with anything except the knife, right? The knife can only cut in a straight line, right? There aren't any other rules, right? Right?
Ah, not really.
Alright then, that's gotta be it. Whew, that was a tough one, almost like a riddle. You just gotta get beyond cutting straight down from the top all the time. You make 2 cuts from the top to get 4 pieces. If you keep it like that and cut across the side, splitting it into upper and lower halves, you get 4 times 2 equals 8 pieces. It's an answer you can't reach unless you think 3-dimensionally. In other words, the correct answer is 3. Huh? Really? I thought the correct answer was 1. What kind of magic did you use? There's no way in the world will you manage it with 1. This isn't a riddle, it's just a normal math problem. Huh? Oh, really? I thought the 3-cut method way. I thought of the 3-cut method right away, but I figured it was too easy, so I guess I tried to twist it too far.
Balor's answer's smaller than the one in the book. Is Balor right?
Yes, he is. Balor is right. The correct answer is 1 slice. Balor was happy that someone had confirmed his answer. However, at some point, Erica's face had lost its cheeriness. To think that a human other than myself would give the answer 1 and that it'd be you of all people. Your answer was 1 too, Erica? Guess you were also thinking out of the box. After all, it would be truly foolish to simply assume you knew what shape it was after hearing it was a piece of cheese. That's impossible. Oni-chan got it wrong, didn't he? How could you cut it into 8 pieces with less than 3 slices? How foolish, child of man. It says to cut into 8 pieces, but nowhere does it say that they have to be of equal size. It's still impossible to cut it with something other than a knife. The rules say that only the knife can cut it, and the knife only cuts in a straight line. However, to turn it around, the rules do not say anything besides that. In fact, the shape of the cheese is never specified. I see. When you call her a large piece of cheese, you thought of a flat cylinder like camembert or something. I was thinking about sliced cheese, like the kind that you put on your toast for breakfast. Because, you know, full blocks of cheese you cut with a knife aren't something I come across that often. The shape of the cheese isn't specified in the rules. A mistake by the ones who made the book. I imagine that there's a picture of a flat cylinder of cheese there in Maria's book.
Ah, there is! Right here!
As Erica had guessed, the book Maria held had an illustration of a piece of cheese just as Erica had described it. With a cheese of this shape, 3 slices really would be the correct answer. You cut it in a plus pattern from the top to make 4 pieces, and then cut it from the side to double, and that make 8 pieces. However, since this illustration hadn't been shown, the interpretation of the cheese had been left to the answerer. That's right. At the moment the problem was stated, no one said anything about how the cheese was shaped or how flexible it was. Exactly. It seems that Balor was more the flexible one, when it comes to both brains and cheese. I don't get it. How does making 8 sliced cheese let you cut into 8 parts with a single knife slice?
Why not try it with a paper napkin? Pretend it's sliced cheese.
It's like this. You fold it in accordion style. How many times do you need to fold it to get 8 sections?
6 times.
To fold it in accordion style, you alternate between upward and downward folds. Once you've done this 6 times, it looks like the side of an accordion. I honestly would have just crushed the slice of cheese. With normal cheese, it'd break if you try to fold it like this. But the rules say... Oh, just kidding. The rules say that this cheese can't break unless you use a knife, right? Yes, no problems there. After all, this magic cheese can only be cut with a knife. After folding it, if you start at the top and make a cut right down the middle... You're right. It would make 8 parts. Wait a second. The parts aren't all equal this way, right? All the questioner said was to cut it into 8 pieces. They didn't say anything about them being equal. Well, if you change the way you fold it, it is possible to make them all equal sizes, but I wouldn't want to confuse you stiff-headed people with the explanation. Oh! For a while, everyone was stunned. Valor had reached a far better answer than the 3 by thinking of the problem as a riddle. I forgot my original answer that I had for this. I don't really remember. Because I thought of something differently as well, but I forgot what I thought of. Erica had already known both answers and even spotted a mistake made by the book. The others could do nothing but stare at those 2 in surprise. Like, imagine if it was Swiss cheese. Incredible! So, we were the stiff-headed ones? What an utter defeat! We were thinking in 3 dimensions, but it looks like Valor and Erica were thinking in 1 dimension higher. Because imagine if it already had holes in it, then you could try to trick it in a way, maybe. If they were just placed just right. I don't know. It seems the game with the witches toughened you up quite a lot. Puzzles without specified rules, in other words, all things not covered by the red truth, are left to the observer's interpretation. It's the most basic of methods for constructing gaps in the witches' closed rooms. What are you talking about? Is that a quote from some novel? Well, let's call it that for now, shall we? Anyway, I guess this means that everyone's brains are as stiff as rock-hard cheese. Without any signs of restraint, Erica looked at everyone and laughed sarcastically. Only Maria didn't notice the venom in that laugh as she happily turned to the next page. Ah! Then on to the next problem. You have 3 cups and 6 coins. Split up the coins so there's 1 coin in 1 cup, 2 coins in another cup, and 3 coins in the 3rd cup. Ah! Wait a sec, that's easy. Just stick 1 coin in the first cup and 2 in the next one, and 3 in the last one, you're done. However, you can do the same with only 5 coins. Wait. However, can you do the same thing with only 5 coins? Ah! Here's another cliched problem. Don't tell me that you need to waste all the several precious seconds on a Wait. Here's another cliched problem. Don't tell me you'll all need to waste several precious seconds on a problem like this. By now, Erica was gazing around with an unpleasant look, acting in a manner that was completely inappropriate both for a guest and someone her age. She was no longer a guest who would be staying until the storm passed. She had transformed into an annoying guest who wouldn't leave until the storm passed. Everyone thought this, but they were unable to say it aloud. Karen! Oh, right. Speaking of the problem of coins, I heard that picking up coins is a good way of judging someone's skill with chopsticks. Chopsticks? Yes, chopsticks, that's right! Chopsticks are the most elegant utensil on the Chopsticks? Yes, that's right! Chopsticks are the most elegant utensil on the planet. Poking things and chopping them up with forks and knives is so barbaric. Chopsticks are the best. For me, using chopsticks is truly an art. Jessica was about to say, aren't chopsticks just sticks, but stopped herself just in time. She realized it'd be best to let George take control for now. I have a coin here, so would you like to challenge me? I'm pretty good with chopsticks. That's right. We trained George very well with those. Indeed. Table manners are a window into one's upbringing, and Erica uses them quite well herself. I'll lend you some coins, too. It'll probably be more fun with more of them. Jessica, watch closely and learn.
I like doing that too. Damn it! Alright, let's go. Let's see who can move the most coins over to their plate. Me and Erica being in a chopstick contest. Bring it on! Chopsticks! Chopsticks! This time, George had steered the conversation into a good direction. Everyone else understood, and they helped egg on this chopstick fight and change the subject. They were fully aware by now that Erica was extremely proud of her intelligence, and apparently she had the bad habit of using that to look down on other people. She spun her chopstick around with a deft hand of a juggler, staring at the coins scattered on the table like a dog who had been told to stay after having a meal placed in front of it. I'm pretty fast too, you know. With that, I can't run. I run at 13 minutes per mile. Actually, at my age, I probably run slower than me in middle school. Yeah, I'm really physically weak. The unsettling sound of the wind had been blended with the sound of the rain, mimicking the howl of some monstrous beast. Just when it seemed to be crying out sadly, it would suddenly turn into a roar and rattle the window, striking up even more fear and unease within me. Light from the hallway poured in through the thin crack of the slightly open door, and it seemed to carry with it a laughter that was warm and happy, but very distant. I'm sure everyone's in the dining hall or somewhere else having a good time. I want to go there as soon as I can. I'm sure my family will be there. I hate being all alone in a place like this. Dad, Mom, I stubbornly tried again and again to get that door open, but the merciless chain just wouldn't let it open any further than that crack. On the contrary, feeling this close to a way out just made me feel more impatient. Gulping and trying to ignore the fear lurking behind me, I quietly closed the door. That light coming out of the crack is just a trap. An iron shackle making it look like I'm an inch away from freedom through that door will never actually open. A shackle trapping me in here for all eternity. I need to get out of this creepy room as soon as possible. When I closed the door, all that filled the room were the eerie sounds of wind and rain. The way the wind picked up every now and then and shook the window frame felt like a monster in a cage shaking the bars. I was so scared of that monster I couldn't help but avert my gaze from the window. Gotta search. If I can't get out the door, I need to find another way out. Just the side of the door was a closet. There was only enough space inside to hang overcoats. Of course, it didn't connect to anywhere outside the room. If this were hide and seek, it'd probably be fun to hide in here. However, the inside of this creepy room would be no better than stepping into my own coffin. If I go in there, maybe I'll find myself trapped in the closet next. This fear I didn't understand sent a massive shiver up my spine, and I closed the closet door in a hurry. There's one door left. When I opened it, there was a bath and a toilet. Of course, there was no exit. There weren't any windows. If I turned on the faucet, water would probably come out, then disappear down the drain and flow outside, but I couldn't get out that way. Unless I went into the bathtub, with a stopper pulled out of the drain and smashed my flesh and bones to bits. I had the feeling this was the only way out, so the black stopper in the bathtub drain looked extremely terrifying. I tried a lot of things both mentally and physically, but there really was no chance of me getting out through the bathroom. Next is the window. Beyond the window is a pitch-black darkness. The fierce wind and rain are slamming against the glass. The darkness on the other side of the window may have been unsettling, but I didn't really care where I went as long as it got me out of this room. However, the window was clamped shut. Right down the middle of the window, which was made to swing open like a set of double doors, were several ugly metal clamps. It was even more unnerving than the chain on the door, like a rough operation scar on some bizarre monster. The window and the rain slammed against the window frame, shaking and making it creak loudly. However, unlike the door, this wouldn't even open a crack. I've had enough. Give it a rest already. What the hell's going on with this room? I've had enough of this creepy room. Enough, 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 enough! It's impossible to go outside except by the door and windows, and compared to the thick door, the windows look like it might be possible to break. I'll smash it. If I swing a chair at it, the glass will probably break. I might be able to smash the wooden grid that runs through those latticed windows. All I need to do is make a large gap enough to slip out of. I grabbed a fancy-looking antique chair and headed back to the window. Smash it! Over and over! The glass smashed with a violent sound. The frame groaned and creaked. Smash it, over and over. If I can just break through the wooden grid. Damn it, what the hell? Even though the glass had been smashed apart, even though the cold wind that brewed in tormented me, I just couldn't get that grid to break. They weren't iron bars. It was just slender wooden mesh. Even though it's fragile enough to make that creaking sound, why doesn't it break? No, wait. Maybe it's almost broken. What if I try attacking it from a different angle instead of just smashing it head on? I stuck my left hand out through outside the hole in the broken lattice window and grabbed the frame in front of my right hand and tried to break it by shaking it from around both sides. My left hand started to grow ice cold from the frigid winds and rain. When I shook it, fragments of glass sticking out from the broken frame poked into me, and my wrist as soon as was stained with blood. But if I can just get out of here, this much pain is no big deal. But I can't get out. I'm stuck. It won't open. I can't break it. The more violently I shook the frame, the more glass fragments tore into my left wrist, causing me intense pain. Wait, what? Huh? Before I realized that the glass fragments on the frame had extended outwards, it was as though an ugly beast was trying to chew my hand off with glass teeth. It didn't just feel as though they were growing outwards. They actually were getting longer before my very eyes. And they're chewing my hand to bits! I tried desperately to pull my hand out. It already dug deep into my wrist and I couldn't move it. I put all my strength to it, but it just hurt more and more. The glass didn't even budge. What the hell? Damn it, let go, let go, let go! I hit the glass with my right fist over and over, but that just hurt my right fist and did nothing else to release my other hand. Just then, my left hand, which was still exposed to the rain outside, brushed against something slimy. What? It couldn't have been a leaf blown about by the winds or anything like that. I mean, it felt just like the touch of someone's rain-soaked hand. Then, it closed tightly around my left hand. I felt the 5 fingers. I knew that someone out in the darkness was touching my left hand. And, yes, I know who it is. It's the witch. The terrifying witch who rules over Okanjima's night. The 2 hands soaked in the freezing rain gently caressed my left hand. However, though I could tell what was happening by touch, I couldn't see anything out there in the darkness. Then, it felt about my fingers and twisted my ring finger upwards. It's gonna break. Creepy. At that moment, I saw something in the darkness for the first time. It was white. The darkness grinned and bared its white teeth. Then that mouth filled with eerily white teeth approached my finger that had been twisted up so far it was about to break and open wide. It must have been laughing at me from the darkness. After all, that creepy mouth was twisting upward with a huge grin. I had a horrible idea of what it might be trying to do with my finger. A shiver ran up my spine. I resisted as much as I could, but the fangs of the glass just wouldn't release my left hand. And then, it gently bit my finger. Flesh and bone were crushed and torn apart in an instant. Did you hear something just now? I think I heard it too. It sounded like a clunk. It's probably just the wind hitting a window. This is a beat-up old mansion after all. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. When I was a brat 6 years ago, I remember spending a lot of nights all scared that the witch was really walking around the mansion. Ah! She exists! Beatrice exists! What's at the other end of this hallway? There are guest rooms there, but they aren't being used now. Yeah. After all, we have the guest house now. Until then, we would always stay in these guest rooms. Yeah, I remember too. When I saw the guest house today, I was surprised at how beautiful it was. Well, that's because it was just built. I wish I could move my own room over there. Shano, Erica's room is in the guest house too, right?
Yes, we have prepared a room for her in the guest house. And since the guest house is a good distance away from the mansion, no matter what kind of trouble happens, you can't hear what's going on in one from the other.
Are you still in detective mode? Sounds like you'll be all bummed when we all wake up tomorrow and manage to say good morning to each other.
True. At least one of us had better be gone by tomorrow morning. Right. Allow me to guide you all to the guest house.
The adults were apparently about to begin a conversation that they didn't want the kids to hear, of course. The real family conversation was about to start. As the kids and Erica followed Shannon on the way to the guest house, they passed through the entrance hall. It looks like it's pouring down its hardest right now. Should we watch TV in the parlor until it dies down a bit?
Mama said to go back to the guest house. We have to go or she'll get mad. Ah!
I think we'll be able to relax a lot more over there. Better than getting to see and hear our parents get all pissed at us.
It looks like everything's falling into place.
Erica giggled, an openly indiscreet look on her face.
I'll go get some umbrellas for everyone. Please wait here. Oh, wait a second. It's been bugging me for a while. Who's that woman in the portrait?
Well, to be honest, I already know it's Beato's portrait. Still, we've only just walked past it in the last game, which is no fun. Erica whispered to herself, but no one else, of course, heard her.
This is the master's benefactor, Beatrice. They say she gave grandfather a vast quantity of gold, meaning that she's to thank for the Ushiramiya family's revival.
She's just a witch of grandfather's delusions. Supposedly, her ghost walks around the corridor of the mansion every night. Hey, quit it! That story always so freaked me out when I was little. It always made me feel like this mansion was terrifying after the night fell. Oh, right, that's true. What about now, 6 years later? I totally forgotten, but looking at the portrait head on, I can feel that old fear coming back a bit.
Ah! Beatrice isn't scary, as long as you at least respect her. If you don't... Right, Shannon? Yes. That rumor does exist among the servants as well. Rumors about servants patrolling at night and bumping into mysterious silhouettes or gold butterflies.
Yeah, that wasn't last year or the year before. Didn't one of the servants fall down the stairs and get badly injured that they quit? Wasn't there a rumor that it was Beatrice's curse? Jessica told like a ghost story trying to scare Erica, but Erica just laughed disdainfully. Come on, that's creepy. It's probably just an accident, right? Just a coincidence? It happened just after Grandpa had this portrait hung here. It was probably a year before last. In fact, if I remember, there is the staircase that the servant fell down, right?
Yep, after all, this insanely huge portrait really stands out. Shortly after it was put up, everyone was talking about what it might be. And then the accident happened shortly afterwards and people started calling it Beatrice's curse. So these ghost stories about Beatrice started after the portrait was put on display. No, rumors about Beatrice's ghost walking around were around even before that. However, I do think those stories grew in number after the portrait was put there.
Before then, even though they heard about the witch, Beatrice, they didn't even have an actual distinct picture in their heads of what she'd be like. I imagine this portrait made that picture distinct for them, strengthening the rumors even more.
So, who started talking about this Beatrice witch in the first place?
Grandfather. He'd always start freaking out and yelling, "My beloved Beatrice!" Though we saw that portrait, we had no idea what she looked like.
It's no surprise that you get one or two ghost stories with a creepy portrait like this hanging around. You always find ghost stories cropping around about a portrait of Beethoven in the music room or the statue of a school founder. True, it wouldn't be strange for a few ghost stories to arise in an old gloomy mansion with the sound of the wind and rain present in the background for so long. Well, it's nothing more than a ghost story, a delusion, a fairy tale, worth less than the useless drivel of a half-sleeping nitwit.
Erica looked up at the portrait and smiled at it hostilely. As though she felt this smile was disrespectful to Beto, Maria's face soured.
me if you can, Beatrice. So, if we find you mysteriously dead next morning, we'll know it's a curtain rising on the witch's murder case. But you're a detective, right? Wouldn't killing the detective off in the beginning be a bit too radical? That would be troubling. That would get in the way of the crime scene inspection. I see. After all, even the Nox rules don't prohibit the detective being killed. I have just what you need! It's a charm that will protect you from Beatrice's curse! A charm? You have a charm for something like that? After fishing around her bag, Maria pulled out a string of beads and attached to a medal that had a scorpion drawn on it. It looked like a cheap prize from an arcade or something. What are these? They're magic-repelling charms! Their effect is very weak, but if you use them, you'll definitely be able to avoid Beatrice's curse all night long. I've heard that spiral webs are also useful for repelling magic. That's probably because Beato is the incarnation of a butterfly. Huh? Wasn't it evil spirits of Akujiki Shima that are weak against that? Kumasawa knows a lot about that sort of thing. Witches and evil spirits. This is getting a bit interesting. Would you mind telling me about it in a bit more detail when we get to the guest house? Here are the umbrellas for everyone. It's still raining very hard outside, so please take care. Shanna handed out the umbrellas that she had bought. Everyone headed toward the exit. And then, when there were none left standing in front of the portrait, a gold butterfly appeared. It span out into a golden splash, becoming a human form. In the hall, empty now that the children had left, Beato stood alone and silent, looking up at her own portrait. Without a doubt, the figure depicted there was like her as an image in a mirror. However, it felt as though its eyes and expressions were just a little different from hers. From her perspective, while the person in this portrait was almost infinitely close to herself, it was surely just a different person entirely. Who are you? Please tell me what kind of person you are. Beato had already finished reading the fragments from Featherine's library, which shown the tale of the games all so far. However, the witch called Beatrice, who had been depicted in them, had been so vastly different from her. At the very end, it looked as though the witch and Balor had connected just a little bit as rivals. But for the most part, Beatrice had just bullied and bullied Balor in nearly all the tales. Even though this was about her, she had no idea why Beatrice had tormented Balor so much, but she had supposedly been born for Balor's sake. All she had learned from Featherine's library was that the former Beato was a completely different person, who defied understanding. What happened to you? I am an egg of you, a chick. Your wings should have existed for Father's sake. Just when did you have one of those torn off, and ended up so drastically different? She had listened to the conversation Bao and the others just had when they were leaving. Bao and the others had just been having. Beatrice can't handle scorpion charms. Beatrice can't deal with spider webs. She wouldn't have wanted to touch either of those by choice, but it wasn't as though anything terrible would happen if she did. Was being perfectly fine when around those. Proof that she wasn't Beatrice. Even though this involved her own self, she didn't understand at all, so she quietly gazed into her own eyes in the portrait. It felt as though the truth behind those eyes. Beato slowly approached the portrait, and then she lightly touched it. When she did, it felt as though the portrait rippled slightly. Yes, this is a doorway. A doorway to the long path that will lead her to the golden witch Beatrice. Beato felt a bit dizzy. She lost her balance, feeling as though the world was twisting around her. Then, when she couldn't tell which way was up or down, she was swallowed downwards. With a soft, watery sound, Beato was sucked into the portrait. The world inside the portrait was pitch black. However, there was nothing unsettling about it. It was a comfortable darkness like when you put your head under the covers in the bed at night. Beato realized this is a world inside herself, so despite the darkness, she felt a warm embrace. As long as she asked for nothing, this world would ask nothing of her.
But she couldn't remain like this. She didn't want to spend eternity inside the darkness of this world.
Yes, I need to hatch out of my egg. This darkness is the shell surrounding the gold butterfly called Beatrice. I will be born for Father's sake. I will be born to live for Father's sake and to serve him.
She took her goal, her reason for being born, and put it in words. As if in response to those words, the seal on the shell began to melt away. Cracks appeared in the darkness, and a brilliant light enveloped the world. And so Beatrice was born.
Huh? There I stood along with another me. For a second I thought the me in front of me was the real Beatrice, the one I wanted to be more like. However, she was looking back at me with the same bewildered eyes, so I realized that wasn't quite it.
Elder Beato!
That's right. I wasn't the only one born from that egg. She was also born. Is she my twin? No, it feels a bit different. How can I put it? Both of us are lacking something and immature. Yes, both of us are chicks, but we're also fragments of the true Beatrice. It felt as though we could become the real Beatrice together. No one explained this to us. However, we naturally understood. I decided to talk to this other me. Unless I get to know her and become one with her, I won't be able to become the Beatrice Father desires. In other words, the thing that Father wants from me, and was so heartbroken to find missing, must be something that she has. Hello? The Beatrice with her hair down looked at me with dubious several times and finally spoke.
Why is your face the same as my own?
The true Beatrice also spoke in that manner. It looked as though she really does have something that I lack. Well, I don't know why either.
I am the Golden Witch Beatrice. And you are?
I am also Beatrice. I was born for the purpose of serving Ushinomiya Battler.
I am the Golden Witch and the ruler of Rokenjima's Knight. I know of Ushinomiya Battler, but I have trouble imagining why I should have to serve a brat like him.
I realized the thought I had a second ago must have been true. Together, we really can become the true Beatrice. Though the person in front of me does have the part that makes her a witch, which I lack. She does not possess the mission to live for Ushinomiya Battler's sake. She has what I do not, and I'm sure I have something she does not. We must be two, and yet one single person. I think we're something like twins.
No, that is not so. You are my little sister. I have been here since long before you were born.
Huh? Is that so? I was born later. So does that mean the mission to live for Ushinomiya Battler's sake was born later on? However, I don't think my whole existence is something quite as faint and intangible as a mission. I have enough of a personality to think and act as I'm doing now, so the Witch Beato and I are separate people, with both of us possessing something the other lacks. In that sense, maybe it's fitting for us to call ourselves sisters, as she says. I want to know about you.
I also wish to know. I understand that you are also me. Why is it that you speak that way, and why must you serve Battler? Until we grow to understand this, it seems both of us will remain immature.
I want to become a complete Beatrice.
Until you were born, I was complete. However, now that you have appeared, I believe that accepting you is my fate. I also wish to know about you.
The Witch Beato's tone was very slightly arrogant, which fitted her self-proclaimed status as the older sister. However, since we both realized that we were the same person, there was no need for her to be a bully. She probably realized that after meeting me, her current form was no longer her real self.
Where are we? Is this the hall of the mansion? Oh!
Beato gasped. Her portrait wasn't there. Did that mean this was at least 2 years into the past?
Precisely, this is the hall of the Ushinomiya Mansion. The night is my time, and the nighttime mansion is mine as well. That fool Kinzo is still so desperate to catch me or revive me. How truly ironic. Here I am openly ruling the mansion every night.
So, what do you do here?
I have lost my body, and due to the effects of that hateful shrine, I have no magical energy. However, my powers are reviving bit by bit every day. I can't wait to eventually undergo a spectacular resurrection and have a good laugh at Kinzo. I can't wait to tell him that I succeeded in escaping from his cage. Simply put, I am a ghost-killing type wandering about night after night, with nothing to look forward to besides teaching that old man a lesson.
May I join you?
Of course! After all, you are a part of me. How could the left hand refuse the company of the right? Why should I refuse? I shall be pleased to have you, my little sister, the new Beatrice.
Thank you very much. Oh, One-sama.
A somewhat embarrassing name, but it is not bad. Come, let us go. Let us take a walk through the nighttime mansion. Let me introduce you to my boring everyday life.
Huh. Interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, I bumped into the mic. The two Beatrices changed their forms into two gold butterflies, floating silently into the depths of the shadowy mansion. Well, well, we got Elder Beato and Chick Beato. Wow, there's so many Beatrices. Goodness gracious.
Did you think there would be less Beatos? There's even more Beatos. Beatos all around.
Okay. Beatrice, the elder sister, the mysterious witch who existed even before the rules. She has the same name as Beato, but she wasn't given the goal of devoting herself to valor. The final version of the witch sealed away by Kinzo. She spent her days pulling small pranks and clearing away the magic-resisting toxin, all for the sake of her resurrection. She's similar to the evil spirits of Akuchiki Shima in many ways, such as her spear of spiderwebs. She is the one who gave Shan the golden butterfly brooch. Okay. No tips. Good night.